without a win. However, without ever finishing out of the top 5 in the first 3, he has won the last 2 in a row. That's given him the championship lead. Will he win number 3? We'll find out next here on Speed Vision. Stop of their 9-race championship here at the West Michigan Grand Prix in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Creamer, along with Dorsey Schrader and John Bizignano. And let's get right to a quick look at the points championship. It is a good one. The top 4 covered by only 20. Willis, Goffrey, Stillwell, and Tilber. Then Keith Sharp in 5th, another 19 back, and another 10 behind him is John Strickler in 6th. Now, with the exception of Tilber, they've all won a race. Strickler's not here, so a big advantage and perhaps closing some points up behind him. But as we mentioned, Goffrey has a win. Willis has 2, and Warren Stillwell, Mr. Spec Racer, has 1, and he is with John Bizignano. Biz?
Well, the first thing I want to say is congratulations to Warren Stillwell on his 2nd pole position so far this year. Now, Warren, just a little while ago in the paddock, you told me you didn't like street courses, and here you are on pole position.
Well, they're fun to drive, but you really got to respect those concrete walls.
Well, these walls are very hard, as you found out last year, sorry to say, but you're 0.3 of a second faster than anyone else. Now, in this type of racing, that's a lifetime, a lot of competition behind you. Will you be able to keep that advantage up front?
Well, I hope so. The car felt real good during qualifying. We didn't make any changes to it for the race, but there's some qualifying guys that got only a few laps in, and I think they're going to be heading up. I'm going to look for them in my mirrors, but I hope not to see them.
Well, I'll tell you guys, last time he was on pole position was at Mid-Ohio, and he went to flag for a great win.
Well, thanks very much, Biz. And keep in mind that it was in turn 1 here, Dorsey, last year that they were alluding to when Stillwell had a big hit. This track is challenging.
You see, 1.58 miles. Turn 1 has a vicious bump in the brake zone, and it caused these guys a lot of problem. Not a lot of room to pass, particularly in turn 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Single file through there. There are 1,500 concrete barriers around this course waiting for these drivers to make a mistake.
And they have all talked about just how tough this track is. You know, you'd think prior knowledge of this track would pay huge dividends, but there's a young rookie, a great story in qualifying, who dispelled that notion, and right now he is standing by with John Bizignano.
Maybe the greatest effort on this qualifying session was made by Robert Sack. Robert, you haven't qualified better than 11th all year long, and here you are, maybe the most difficult course of the year. You're in 3rd place.
Well, you know, there were about 4 minutes left to go in the qualifying session, and I went out and I was behind Jack Willis and Jim Goffrey, and they just led me around, and I was being smooth and patient, and it worked out.
The only street course of the entire championship trail. Are you afraid of these walls? They're very intimidating.
Not really. You know, you somewhat don't even notice them as long as you got someone to lead you around. What I'm worried about is if I do get into the lead, is staying there. So.
Well, sometimes it's easier to follow than lead guys, especially the guys in the next 3 places in the championship are right behind him. They're going to want to get by right away and up front.
Well, John, he sounds like a pretty savvy young rookie to be able to take advantage of following some veterans around and laying a lap like that. But you're right. They are going to be coming with the huge rush from behind once we get going for the green. We'll be back, and we're going to bring you a huge starting lineup. Spec Racer Series. And you can see the field about to make their way out for the pace laps. We're going to take you through a very sizable starting lineup right now. In the first row, as we already met, Warren Stillwell, his 2nd consecutive pole. He won it here last year as well. And alongside number 77, Johnny Marigi, currently tied for 8th in the points in the Great Expectations Spec Racer. Row 2, Robert Sack, that great effort in the Valvoline Spec Racer. Next to him, Neil Tilber, right there in the points as well in the Tilber Marketing and Development Spec Racer. Row 3, Jack Willis, the current points leader. He has 2 wins this year in his Speed Comp machine. Next to him will be Carl Harris, tied for 8th in the points in the Four Seasons Radiator Spec Racer. Row number 4 will be Jim Goffrey Jr., 2nd in the points in the Speed Comp Finish Line Spec Racer, and John Black in the Ascent Spec Racer. Row 5, Keith Sharp, had that big hit here last year in the Tech Automotive Primer Spec Racer, and Chris Funk, very quick in the Travelodge machine. Row 6 is John Bowden, the Blue Sky Graphics entry, and next to him, number 80, Doug Farrar in the Elite Auto Spec Racer. Row number 7 is Gary Phillips in the machine from Berkeley Lake, Georgia, and Greg Farrar, another Elite Auto machine. Row number 8, Jeff Tillman in the Team Duke Spec Racer, and Kelly Toombs in the Travelodge Spec Racer. Row 9 is Darren Pritt in the Hasseltitis Spec Racer, and Andy Carlino in the Robinson machine. Row 10 will be Andy Betnick-Smith in the Motion Dynamics Spec Racer, and 87, John Annis, 12th in the points, starting well back in his car. Row 11 will be number 7, Steve Raycamper, 10th in the points in the Raycamper ID machine. And 05, John Santo Spirito, very quick, surprising he's back that far. Row number 12 will be number 11, Martin Walks, out of Grand Rapids, the local favorite in the Country Fresh Spec Racer, and Quint Lindbergh in the Team Duke entry. Row 13, Mark Hutchins in the Generic Racing Spec Racer, and Nikki Ruman, one of two sisters racing here in the Senwell Corp Spec Racer. Number 2 will be Wells Dixon, starting 27th in the 14th row in the Dixon Industries entry, and Doug Campbell in his machine. Row number 15 will see Rod Sharp, number 0 in the Pearl Street Brewery Spec Racer, and see Peter Pope in his machine. Row 16, the other of the Ruman sisters, Amy, also out of Washington, D.C. in her machine, and number 21, Kevin Clark in the New Hampshire Motion Dynamics machine. Row number 17 will be Richard Doty and number 01, Orville Brown. Row 18, Jay Carl, and number 83, David Watson. Row 19, Amit Sayatesh in the Sayatesh Racing Spec Racer, and John Carroll in his machine. And the 20th row, starting 39th and 40th, will be Mike Jacobs and Neil Brown. A huge field, and as that field winding through the concrete barriers here, we understand, John, that there's been a lot of development on the most important components on any race car, the tires.
Well, you're absolutely right, Greg. This is the new BFG tire for this type of racing. Now, this tread used to be all the way across the tire. They've gone to a slick on the inside to try and make it a little bit more grip. And as we are going around this track, the teams feel that to bring this tire here, it's definitely a better tire, but they're a little bit nervous about showing up here with all these concrete walls with something that they haven't really driven on before. They like the tire, but they wish it wasn't around all these concrete barriers, guys. They're going to be slipping and sliding for the first few laps.
Well, that's a good point. And obviously, wear rates and the like, this is a sprint race, but on the other side of the coin, you got to have a tire at the end of it. And no matter how good a tire is, you can run it off just a little bit. We're just about ready to go green. We'll be back for the start right after this.
In the afternoon. Now they're on a different racetrack. It's going to cool down. There's shadows. You can see the shadows falling. It's really deceiving when you're in the walls. It's like driving a maze.
Well, of course, these buildings fairly tall that they're running through, so you go from the bright sunlight into shadow as you talk about. Now, real quickly, as we're coming around for the start here, what about 40 of these cars going into turn 1?
Well, turn 1's a big problem here. I said that big bump down there. You know, they're going to fan out. You have to get the advantage if you can. It's a tough place to pass. So if you could be like Robert Sack right there and get into the lead by turn 1, it's pretty easy to sustain the lead for the rest of that lap. So they're going to be very aggressive, but you got to watch that bump.
We heard Sack talk about the fact when he was being interviewed by John that he had followed him around. He felt comfortable with that. But John pointed out those guys in the points right behind Sack. Is he going to be dealing with more pressure in the mirrors, do you think? Is that going to be worrying him?
Yeah, they're going to pressure him for sure. You know, you're going to have to really push the issue going into turn 1. Get as much as you can get early on. But I can't emphasize enough the stack up down there. It's really easy to misread that bump and to lock your tires up and slide into the guy in, and it would cause a real big chain reaction wreck if that happens.
They're starting to form up nicely into the 2x2, and folks, you can see how busy and intricate this circuit is. And it is lots of the 90-degree turns through the big walls, through the canyons of the buildings downtown. Pretty daunting when you get over into the turn 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 complex. They're out of the last corner. The pace car is in, and Tillwell bringing them up very nice. Marighi working very nicely in tandem alongside. There's the starter in the upper left of your screen. Watch for it. You can already see some of the marbling that occurs on a track like this. There's no place for those little balls of rubber to go, so they build up on the track. Great looking start. Boy, those two leaders doing a nice job. There's the green.
Very late start, and that's because there's so many cars, Greg. They wanted to get the back guys on the straightaway. Here comes the fan for turn 1.
Look at the pressure. Look at Willis thinking about Sack, and he gets underneath Dilber at any rate. And a nice move by Marighi around the outside, but up into turn 2, Stillwell. No, he wisely tucks in behind. Marighi to the lead, and a nice start by Sack, and Willis doing a nice job as he worked up and around Tilber into 4th.
Very gentlemanly start right there. That was a great move by Marighi on the outside, forcing position to take the lead right there. But all those drivers cooperated with one another.
Number 17, John Black, making a move down the inside, but it was blunted rather effectively by Goffrey, and they all tuck back in. And also Carl Harris right there. Oh, look at this. Here comes Keith Sharp, number 82 in the tech machine. A nice move there as Black maybe got a little bit of momentum loss as he thought about that move, had to tuck back in, and Sharp pounced.
Sharp does not care about using the elbows. He'll, oh, big wreck. This is what we're talking about. Big chain reaction. Got 5 cars sitting right there. Most of those will continue. You see the back end, and I see there's the damage on the 21 car right there. There is fluid on the racetrack. That's going to cause them a problem.
Number 46, Andy Mendick-Smith, suffering the worst damage. We also saw, as you said, 21, and that is, I believe, Kevin Clark. who had problems as well. There is the Pearl Street Brewery machine of number 0, Rod Sharp, brother to Keith Sharp, and some great work by the corner crews. They already have this bodywork cleared off the track. So once we get that taken care of, but boy, he has got some serious tow out on that left front.
Yeah, that's not going to help out the handling on the street circuit too much. We'll take a look at what happened right here. This is in the brake zone I talked about before. It's all happening right here. Somebody's going to get into the back of somebody in a moment. It's happening right there. There's the punt, and that will spin the first car around. Now there's nowhere to go. The track's essentially blocked, yet all these guys are still coming in. And look, the chain reaction is still happening. Nowhere for anybody to go. They start making contact here, and it's going to force everybody into the outside wall. Look, it just keeps happening.
Yeah, it was 35, Clint Lindbergh, and 00, Andy Carlino, that were the first two to make contact. But as you said, it affects everybody. And 21, Black continuing. But, boy, now there's a big gaping hole in the front of that car now. But this is not your basic high-speed swoopy circuit. Well, he is going to obviously make a call in. He's got to hear what's... Oh, that's why.
Yeah, he's got a busted radiator.
Oh,
you saw that green stuff that's puking out of there. And that is antifreeze. And I'll tell you what, that's slipperier than even oilers. Antifreeze is slippery stuff.
So he is in, and he is leaving quite a trail. And he obviously noticed the temps going right through the roof, and wisely makes a move into the pit. Doris, let's go back and take a look at this in real time. Look at that pass. Nice pass right there by Sharp.
Sharp muscled his way through, made that clean, but look behind what happens. There's a bump at the apex that sets off this chain reaction. These guys know where to go. They all get stuck to the outside, and the crash just keeps continuing.
Boy, now one guy, he got into those tires hard enough that he climbed right up on them. There comes 00, Carlino, trying to loop back around.
There's another car with the antifreeze coming out of it, so it's going to be a really, really messy racetrack on the restart.
All right, number 21, Kevin Black down in the pits, John.
Well, every car that came into the pit was leaking an awful lot of fluids, and no one is going to be able to finish this particular race. They had 7 cars total in the accident. We're going to have at least 5 fatalities out of that, guys. There was a bad crash, especially way back in the back of the field, Dorsey. What do you think about these guys running into each other that far back?
Yeah, that's really, unfortunately, it's kind of the nature of the beast around here. When you turn into these cement mazes, you don't know what's around the corner. You're completely at the corner worker's mercy. You see the guy right there holding the flags. If you see a guy sticking a flag out, if he starts waving a yellow flag, you got to be prepared to stop, because when you go around the next corner, you're going to get exactly what happened right there. You're going to get a big chain reaction mess.
Perhaps nowhere are corner workers more valuable than on a street circuit with all this concrete and blind corners. You have to truly rely on them. And by the way, I said it was Kevin Black. That was 21, Kevin Clark. And we saw him, as John was talking, drive down pit lane, make that hard left back into the paddock. He is done. We are very early into this one. We are working but lap 2 of 32. And we are right downtown Grand Rapids. It's awesome. And Biz, you think there might be a reason why we had that incident out there?
Well, absolutely, guys. There's just been a problem with driving time on the track. These guys have had very limited green flag time. They practiced this morning, they qualified this afternoon, and now they're racing in early evening. Now, both the practice and the qualifying session were cut very short by red flags, people running into one another. They've had only about a total of 40 minutes. Dorsey, let me ask you, what is it like to come to a circuit first time with all these concrete barriers around it, and to have maybe a total of only 40 minutes qualifying and practice time? Maybe you've only been out there for 5-6 laps, and there you are trying to go racing.
Yeah, good point, Biz. It's really, really difficult, and it's difficult in a different reason, too. Their first session was in the morning. Nobody been on the racetrack with a race car, so there was no rubber down. We call it a green racetrack. There's oil and all the stuff from street cars that have been running around here last night, so it's really slippery. Their qualifying session, now there's a little rubber down. It's got more grip. The whole chassis might be totally different. Then now they're racing at night. They're going to have to deal with the sunlight in their eyes. The track's completely different. It's full of oil now. And these guys, like you said, might only have a total of maybe 8-10 laps. It's really, really difficult.
It's going to be interesting to see, for instance, how the drivers that don't have experience here and the rookies like Bob Sack are going to be able to hang in there. He's got a pretty good coach. His dad, of course, Trans Am driver Don Sack. And so he's got some possibilities there. But, boy, in this situation, you got to, as we take a good look at Warren Stillwell, you got to take a look at the veterans that have been racing this series and been successful for a while. Here we come onto the front straight. Watch for the green. There it is. And Marighi in front of Stillwell, then Sack. Then a great, as we said, move up on the early going by Willis. And then Tilber Couple of different looks here, but Sack doing a nice job. There's that bump you were talking about.
Big bump. It's easy to lock your brakes up and slide right into the other guy, but all these guys have experience. Like you said, Sack the least experience, but he's riding in a real good seat. He's riding in a rocking chair with good guys in front and behind him, so it's a good place to be.
Well, and he used that to great effect, as he mentioned in qualifying, followed around a very quick couple of veterans, and it paid off. And you're right, and what an opportunity for him to learn as they hustle through here. Now, keep in mind, these cars all powered by the same engines, 1.9-liter Ford engines, and they're all at the same weight. They are truly spec cars, and the performance very equal, and so it comes down to just driver ability and setup on the car to make it pay.
And you can see how tight it is through here. There's no way you're going to get alongside and make a clean pass in here, so it basically gets you into trying to outbrake or outmaneuver a guy in the brake zone at the end of that long straightaway. Of course, there's that bump there, and we've seen that cause problems before. But these guys right now, it's early in the race. They should just stay in line, try to get a big run, because you don't want to race with 20 guys. Look at them all here.
Boy, it is an absolute chain. There's number 23, Bowden, who, as I said, now is running in 11th. Then there's a bit of a gap back to number 80, Farrar, Doug Farrar, in the 12th spot. But up front, as we go back a little bit, it's the battle in the back is intense. But right now, Willis is really applying a lot of pressure to the young rookie Sack, and a lot of different lines through that final corner, and you got to go evasive around that pit end.
Well, I heard a tire squealing on the entry there, and I was worried about somebody did lock a brake up. Whoever it was in that pack did a good job of modulation. Here comes Sack being fired upon from behind. There's that bump. I thought that was right there.
Yeah, it's amazing how over that bump, if your brake, oh, here goes Willis, thinking about it, back in, just trying to get in the young rookie's mirrors. But over that bump, it almost seems if you brake before it, you got to come off a little bit at the bump and then let the car settle and then go back to brake.
Look at Sack. He knows he's under pressure from Willis. He's looking in his rearview mirror and checking to see what Willis is doing back there. He needs to keep right on pressure on Stillwell, too. If you run real hard like this, sooner or later, somebody's going to make a mistake. Here comes... that's just aggravating Sack to death. He's just working him over something here.
Willis knows what he's doing. There's no question.
Sharp was in there. I just saw Keith Sharp back there pulling a position. There it is right there. As a matter of fact, he just popped up another position going into one.
On the charge is Sharp, the number 82 Tech Machine. Up now, he was 8th. I think he just got around Harris for 7th. Yes, he did. So he is definitely on the prowl. There he is, that multicolored Tech car. There's Sack, there's Willis. We are now, by the way, working on lap number 7, and there is Sharp. And keep in mind, he had off qualifying for him, starting in the 9th spot, and has worked his way up now almost to Goffrey, who's running in 6th. And again, you get to the top 10 in any of these Pro Spec Racer events, they're very close-knit, very talented drivers.
Yeah, it is. And the straightaway here is not long enough to really get any kind of a draft. We talk about drafting and working in partners. Well, on a street course, there is no partners. It's every man for himself. All you can hope to do is to get a better run on a guy and to use him into the brake zone, get him in there really deep and try to get up underneath him. You see right now is Willis is trying to do that. Here comes Sharp looking again. That was more of a fake than anything else. But that's about the only real safe place to try to make a pass right there in the turn 1.
And right there is where Sharp got tagged last year by Stillwell in a battle for the lead and had probably the biggest shunt of his Pro Spec Racer career. Doesn't seem to be any worse for the wear of that. We are now working lap 8 of 32. Marigny, Stillwell, Sack, Willis, and Tilber. And free, and the Pro Spec Racers putting on an awesome battle down here. There is the battle between Sharp and Harris, but it has changed just a little bit. You'll notice they're in 3rd now. It is the veteran, 49 Willis, has gone around 19 Sack, the rookie, but he is staying right there. He has not dropped off of Willis. In fact, is looking to maybe make his own move. You'll see that Goffrey and now Sharp have both moved by the number 8 of Neil Tilber, and Tilber got a little lost momentum trying a move, and it hurt him, and he slipped back a little bit. And look at this battle, Doris, for 2nd. Awesome.
Well, you know, I said before, on a street circuit, there's no partners, there's no drafting. It's every man for himself. They just showed it in the last 2 laps. We had a shuffle in position, and actually there was a lot more attempts made for passes that didn't happen, but the guys are real aggressive with one another right now.
And as I said, though, Doris, Sack is staying right with that battle, and John Vizignano was standing by with Johnny's got to be a pretty proud dad.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, he's a little bit more than proud. He's very, very nervous. I'll tell you, Don Sack, you're looking at the big screen up here. How's your son doing? You are an expert on this track. You're an expert Trans Am driver. What do you think of what he's doing out there?
Well, Bob's in 4th place right now. He qualified 3rd, and Jack Willis passed him, but he's biding his time. He knows he's got to be there at the end of the race.
Now, when did his love for motorsports start out? Is this something that father-son has been doing a long time together?
Probably as soon as he started riding a tricycle, he liked wheels and cars and engines and everything, and he started go-kart racing when he was 13, and because I've been involved in racing so long, he's grown up in it.
What advice did you give him for this event, starting in 3rd place? What did you tell him about how to handle this event?
Yeah, I told him he was up with a group of guys that are really good, and just to stay up there and watch himself be there at the end of the race.
Great fatherly advice.
And some great execution by the son, doing a very nice job, and it continues to shuffle. You see that Stillwell now has fallen into the clutches of Jack Willis, who is quickly moving to the front. And now number 19, Zach, is the guy who's pressuring Stillwell. Then it's Goffrey. There's 82, Sharp. Behind him now comes number 8, Stillwell, and then 61, Chris Funk. You'll notice a bit of a gap behind him. 69, Harris, 17, Black, and 23, Bowden. Actually, we had 69 spun it going in. Oh, and there's a bit of a wrinkle on the nose of Sachs' car. And Dorsey, that looks like that radiator inlet might have been closed up a bit.
That's a shame, too, because you're absolutely right. That front end is completely stove in. He's not going to get any cooling into the engine compartment, so if he checks his gauges, he is going to have an overheating engine in a minute. The guy on the move, though, is Willis. He has done a masterful job of passing both times. Look at here, we have locked up brakes.
That was Goffrey. He was working on a pass on Sack, and Sack took him in deep, and he locked up. And Willis snuck underneath Marighi going into turn 1. It looked like Marighi was a little wide of the apex, and Willis pounced.
That's what I was talking about. The guy making the moves is Willis, and he's forcing the issue. He really did a great job. I've watched him pass 3 cars now, and he's doing it in places that aren't easy to make passes. But he's very, very good with the car on the brake. I can see that. He gets in underneath the guy and then forces him out of the apex, takes a position. He's really running well right now.
He obviously had a good feeling that he could run quicker than what the group he was racing with were, and did everything he could to get by them, and it took him no time to catch Marighi.
That was a masterful braking job. All those passes made with, oh, big wreck. In the meantime, look at here. We got another skirmish. That's the 9 car, but there's been 4 or 5 cars that just snuck around the corner. There we got 46 is involved in that. There's 20s involved in it.
Oh, boy, a lot. That was 9 is Richard Doty. 20 is Nikki Ruman, so she's got problems.
One of the sisters, and of course their father, Bob Ruman, is a Trans Am competitor as well. So she's been involved in it. It looked like about 5 cars that made contact. Look at, oh, there was Marighi. Locked up in the tire barrier. Bounces off, no damage done, but I heard the tire squealing before I saw him go off.
Boy, what? Those tire barriers doing an awesome job in that case, not only preventing damage, but actually bouncing him back so he didn't have to engage reverse. It just took off. Only lost a couple of spots. There is the parking lot that's forming.
Yeah, and there's going to be more than that. We'll see this on a replay. Here, oh, look at that. The 20 actually got into the wall by itself, bounced off the wall, and came right into traffic. Nowhere for the 9 to go. All these people just got collected.
So that was Ruman and Doty, the 2 that got the worst damage. Everybody else just kind of gathered through. Ruman trying to continue. I don't think she realizes that neither of those rear wheels pointing in anywhere near the same direction. Up front, though, Willis is absolutely checking out. And let's go back and take a look at how that one unfolded. And again, it just looked like Marighi may have run just a little bit wide, feeling the heat from 49 Willis. And Willis was able to slide on through. And so Willis, right now, not only did he make the pass, but after, of course, Marighi going into the tire store, he now has as big a lead as you normally see in one of these races.
Yeah, but I'm not sure he'll sustain that lead for long with those cars all crashed out there. That might bring a full course out. Ruman's car hit really hard. The 20 hit sideways really hard and bounced off and got collected. And I don't think that car is going to be able to be driven anymore.
And talk about a drive. Look at this. 3rd spot, Keith Sharp, qualified 9th. He is 3rd and flying a ton of heat and pressure right now to Warren Stillwell.
Yeah, he's all over the back of Stillwell for sure. And pretty good lead right there by Willis, but that can all go away. I'm looking at Sachs' car. See, the whole front end of it's closed off. There's no way he's getting any air in the radiator, and I don't know if he's looking at the gauges or not. But I got it. Look at that. Sharp almost locked up. He just almost hit Stillwell right there. And look at the tires have been hit. There's a tire bundle sitting right out there. Somebody can hit that still. That just happened.
Boy, shades of last year. Stillwell and Sharp trying to outbrake each other, outduel each other into turn 1.
There's body work laying up against the barrier over there. Tires rolling around. This is spec racer racing at its best in the streets right here in Michigan.
Oh, no question. By the way, Jim Goffrey had a quick stop in the pits and then continued. Here goes Sharp again, and this time he's got to run.
He's got it.
And if he holds it, nicely done. And Sharp now in second spot. The question is, as he gives a wave to Warren and said, thanks for making it doable anyway, the question is, what does he have for Jack Willis, who is up now by 3.5 seconds? And he has run down Jack Willis, and the battle for the lead is afoot, and Sharp is throwing down some very quick laps, Dorsey.
Unbelievable drive by Keith Sharp. He was qualified way back. I thought he was going to be out of this race, and has worked his way by everybody cleanly, and is now all over the track with Jack Willis.
Amazing thing is, the margin between Sharp in second and Stillwell in third is some 9 seconds. So that gives you an idea of just how quick Willis and Sharp are cruising. And we've got a waving yellow. They've come upon something, and that's 26. The number 26.
Ooh, that's a bad spot to be in. He's right in the middle of the track. John Carroll is, that's not good at all, because nobody knows what to do. If he puts it in reverse, he's going to back right in the middle of the track. He's going to have to back up to get out of there.
We go back up front. There's Willis and that Speedcom machine, number 49, right behind him, the tech entry of 82 Sharp. And what's helped Sharp, I would think, a little bit, Dorsey, is they are coming up behind Goffrey, who is slowing. He had slowed, then ducked into the pits. Is obviously not on the pace. But that yellow had to help Sharp in terms of tire wear. He was able to make up some ground without heating up the tires, and he's obviously got a car underneath.
Well, the car seems to have come in a little bit. It wasn't all that strong early on, but as it goes on, this car looks to be the fastest car on the racetrack right now.
And, of course, now they're coming up on traffic. Goffrey normally would be running with these guys for the lead, but his car just does not seem quite there. And so we'll see if he's going to play any kind of a role in this battle from the front.
I doubt he will. I think if they catch him, that he'll cleanly let them by, because he has to race these guys for the rest of the year, and paybacks are not fun.
Keep in mind, Goffrey in that bright pink and yellow car, he's second in the points leader coming up to lap him, and I'm sure he'd love to have nothing more than Sharp, who's really not a real factor in the points at this stage, get by him and at least steal some points. And Goffrey, I thought he ran a little wide to let him through, but he did not. And right now, Goffrey has Willis trying to get by him as quick as possible, and I suppose that Goffrey would like to wait for a yellow now. Willis makes the pop and goes by. Let's see, is Sharp going to make it? Sharp gets pinned on the outside.
Well, he didn't really. There was a yellow there. He saw a yellow, and he had to back off, because yellow means no passing, and Keith Sharp, see, they just gave a wave between each other. Goffrey would have given him that corner, but with the yellow there, there's nothing that Sharp could do about that.
So now, right now, Sharp wants to get by Goffrey as quick as he can, Biz, and he wants to get back into the draft of Willis. He's lost it.
Well, that's exactly where I want to be. Now, the reason Jim is so far back is because he was in the pits. We saw him go off the track, and the reason he went off the track is he had had contact with the left front corner of the car, deflating the tire, heavy sidewall damage, heavy wheel damage, and then he went to the wall again. Also out of this race, unfortunately, is Robert Sack. You were talking about that damage up front to his nose. The radiator blew up, the motor's gone. Very bad for this young driver doing such a great job. Now, Willis told me at the beginning of this race, he said, all I need to go fast is a little bit more laps around this particular track. All he had was 8 laps, both in qualifying and practice. He said, all I got to do is stay cool the opening laps, and once I really know this track, I'm going to let the horses run.
Well, and he is doing that, and he's got a little help from Goffrey, and a frustrated Sharp, Dorsey, we were both noticing he was trying to signal Goffrey to let him go.
Yeah, he said, come on, enough is enough. I need to get back up there. You know, I'm leader. I'm lapping you. Look at this. Oh, he's really pushing hard to get by this lap car. You don't want to make a mistake in that confine right there, because there's nowhere to go. Watch him. He's going to go up the inside here. I know he is.
He's going to make it, and that other car, he saw Goffrey and was trying to give Goffrey room and never saw Sharp till the last second. Now he's just pulled way over, and look at that. He was trying to give him room, and he's got Goffrey a little bit gathered up, and we're going to watch for some of the battles coming through, and there are some good ones. Here comes number 8, Tilber, and he is currently now in third as he has gone around Stillwell, and then Funk right in the mix again. Our early weather. Yeah.
That's our pole sitter, or not our pole sitter, but our early leader, Johnny Moreggi, all the way back to there now. These guys having a good battle. About way to catch from the lead to.
Well, and you have to wonder, this is one of those situations where perhaps a tire choice set up on the car, and as you pointed pointed out, Dorsey, changing track conditions have really messed up Stillwell, because he's the pole sitter, and he is just dropping.
Well, I think that's exactly right. I think these guys had to guess a lot at what track setup to put on the car. You know how to get the setup on the car, and the track's changing. Obviously, the guy that got it right is Keith Sharp, because his car has gotten faster, not slower, as it's going on.
And Tilbury, as you see, just disappearing out of the frame with that lap car really acting as a block, has really gapped 28 Stillwell, 61 Funk, Marighi. And coming up behind them now is 36 Kelly Toombs. He's a ways back, but he would like to close in. You can see there's a big gap back to Toombs, and that's the next battle on the track. But Tilbury, now, here comes Stillwell trying to get around number 59, who has been racing that group that's trying to lap them. And that doesn't earn you a whole lot of friends. Mark Hutchins would have done well to let him go, and still trying to race with him.
Marighi's car got real loose at the back there. It looked like he locked up their brakes and almost crashed. He did crash right there. He just crashes his race car. I just was saying that there's something wrong with that car. It's really handling poorly. And right as I said it, of course, he put it into the fence, and his day is over. That's a shame for John Marighi.
That's one of the natures of a street course. You mess up in one corner, it can affect you 1, 2, 3 corners down the road. And that apparently might just spell the end of the day to Johnny Marighi. The way that hit and the way he tracked along there, it did not look like that car was now working well. He may have broken something in that right front corner. We have 21 laps complete. It's Willis, Sharp, Tilbury, Stillwell, and Funk. Sharp has a realistic shot at the championship, so he's thinking wins, and he wants this one.
This is lap traffic they're working. They're putting these guys a lap down. Sharp has been very, very, very aggressive in these traffic situations. I saw him just take duck out. He was going to try and split the car that was being lapped with Willis going one way and hitting the other. And this is heavy pressure right now.
And the interesting thing, Dorsey, is every time Willis gets a break in traffic, opens up a big lead, once Sharp clears that traffic, he runs right back down again. His car, as you pointed out, seems to be working incredibly well.
Let me tell you how tough it's been on some of these guys. Other than that session in the morning, it didn't make much difference. And then at qualifying, now they're racing at night. Now, a lot of these guys are going to pack their race cars up if they're not wrecked too badly, and they're going to head to St. Louis to run a race tomorrow. They're going to run in St. Louis at Gateway International tomorrow, and then on Sunday again to get points for the runoffs.
So keep in mind, a number of these drivers not only running the Pro Series, but the SCCA National Amateur Championship, which is, Dorsey said, in the runoffs, carries a lot of prestige as well. Willis lost a little momentum, and here comes Sharp side by side, and Sharp read that beautifully, and once again, Dorsey, traffic played an integral role in that pass.
That's what I was talking about. I've been watching Sharp. He's been taking advantage of that traffic. He saw that, set it up perfectly, and it just slowed Willis. Just that fraction. He had to crack out of the throttle. It's all it took. Keith drove right up the inside, and these two guys are now racing, and they're, of course, at their lead change, and they're going to keep going now because this race isn't near over yet.
Oh, not even close. We
look,
still have 9, and look at Willis.
He's looking. These are the kind of passes now that you have to force. You have to force something to happen in these tight little areas because nobody's going to give it to you down there in turn 1.
Let's go back and take a look at that pass from lead real time, Dorsey, and it was a beaut by Sharp. As you said, read it nicely.
Well, what happened was Willis got held up by the car behind. They've already both lapped it. Sharp positioned his car for that to happen in case it did. And, of course, when Willis had to lift, he drove the nose of his car on the inside, and there was no way to defend against that pass.
So we watch for it. But look at Willis. He continues to mount the pressure here and move around, stay in Sharp's mirrors, trying to rattle him just a little bit. He's Sharp, has done a lot of racing in these cars, doesn't rattle a whole lot. I wonder, we alluded to that big crash he had last year while leading, looked like he might win one, if he thinks this track maybe just doesn't owe him one.
It's unbelievable how easy it is to crash on this track. You don't have to make hardly any mistake at all. And these walls will gather you up, we can see it all day long. And these back markers, you know, this is tough. You have to take some risk to get by clean. You have to just stick your nose in there like Keith's trying to do right now. And if you get it wrong, then, yeah, you can be in the wall.
Boy, Willis almost tried to stuff it in there, and that lap car finally moves over and lets him slide through. But, oh, did Willis get a run coming off that turn?
Yeah, Keith
great exit speed.
Keith was in too tight. He had too tight of a radius because he passed that. There's the pass. Oh, don't do that. That's a record to do that.
I think he was just trying to see if he couldn't rattle him just a little bit. And a nice repass by 49 Willis. And Sharp now has to try and do it all over again. And quickly, let's go down to pit lane where, Biz, I understand you've caught up with Bob Sack.
Well, we are with Bob Sack. I know you don't want to be here in the pit lane, Bob. You want to be out there on the track. You had some damage up front. What happened?
Well, 2 laps into the race, after the yellow there, I was going into one behind Warren Stillwell, and, you know,
He was a little slow in one, I knew it, and he was a little too slow for me. I mean, I just hit him in the back. It wasn't his fault, it was my fault, and then the motor got hot and it blew up.
Could you have stayed up front with these guys?
Oh yeah, I could have. If the motor wouldn't have started getting hot, I would have been up there.
He was ready to go, guys. He'll be ready to go next time.
Absolutely. He was very racing, showed what he's capable of. And again, you crimp that radiator opening up front. That's an absolute disaster for these engines, and that's exactly what happened. But he showed some awfully solid pace. Willis and Sharp continued their battle at the front. By the way, they are now 13 seconds clear of the battle for third. So not only are these two duking it out, Dorsey, they're doing it at an awfully respectable rate of speed.
Both these guys are really good race tacticians. You saw that when they both passed one another by using a back marker car to break the momentum of the lead car. The secondary car saw it and pounced on the situation. These guys did a really good job. Great battle going on right there. About 5 cars, 6 cars involved with that. And that's for about 12, 13 place, I believe.
Yeah, actually, that's 36. Kelly Toombs running in 9th, and the pack pursuing Darren Pritt, number 33, Phillips, number 34. A gentleman you know, Tillman, running in the number 99 car, sits in the 11th spot, and 23, Bowden as well, and then 17 Black. I mean, that is a huge group.
Yeah, and 17, you look at Black right there, and he's got the front corner knocked off his car. And speaking of knocking corners off, we'll keep this up. We're going to see some more. But 36, nowhere to go. Chris Funk goes straight. He couldn't make the corner. He goes in the escape road. We'll turn around. Everybody else moves up one position.
That was Funk's teammate, actually, Kelly Toombs.
And, you're right.
He got that, he was just offline going in there and realized that he had to give way or he was going to stuff it somewhere. So we go back up to the lead and watch that battle between 49 Willis and 82 Sharp. We're closing in on the end of this one. 25 of 32 laps now complete. Willis, Sharp, Tilber, Stillwell, and Chris Funk still fifth.
To go. Look at Keith Sharp. He's waving. He says, let me go. I got to get through.
Well, and that's where you hope that the guy in front's really watching his mirrors. And one of the problems is on a street track like this, sometimes there's just nowhere for you to go. You've got to follow your line.
Look at Keith Sharp moving the inside, waving. He's going, come on, man, come on.
No!
And almost contact right there. This is costing Keith Sharp dearly. With only 3 laps to go coming up, he doesn't need this.
Well, not at all. And, of course, there's always when your driver is in a battle for the lead and things are getting pretty intense, and it's finally Sharp gets by. The crew intensely watching what's going on, and Biz is standing by with Sharp's crew chief, Tom Hunt. John?
Well, Tom Hunt was watching intensely. He jumped down from the wall to give us an interview. Tom, when I saw your car in the paddock, it was in bits. How'd you get the thing to run so well?
Well, LaRue Motorsports helped us put it together, and Keith just knows how to drive the Tech Hyper-V car real well.
He had very little time on the track. The whole left rear was heavily damaged. You were working on the car, welding the car right up until race time.
Yeah, we got out on a track in the grid about 20 minutes late, but because of the pre-event show, we were able to get to the race on time, luckily.
Well, congratulations on a great run all the way from 9th up to 1st. Is he going to be able to hold on to it?
Knowing Keith, I think so, but you never can tell in a race.
Well, he fell back to 2nd, but I'll tell you, he's going to be battling like crazy to get up front. Congratulations on a great run.
Well, and John, the nose of Sharp's car, the under tray is loose. I mean, that car has obviously taken a beating this weekend, and still Sharp absolutely flying. We're looking now at 28 Stillwell, who's in the midst of a Tilber-Funk sandwich. He is sitting in 4th. Neil Tilber, the brightly colored yellow machine up in front right there, number 8. There's Stillwell. And traffic has trapped Funk. Funk was all over Stillwell, not but a couple of corners back, and now he's dropped back just a little bit. Further evidence, Dorsey, of the role traffic in play. But now, as Funk clears that traffic, of course, up in front, now Tilber's going to hit another group.
And that just shows you how tight this racetrack is. You can get boxed in, even if the guy wants to help you out and wants to realize he's getting lapped and get out of your way. Sometimes you just know where to go, and it costs you dearly on the racing surface.
Chris Funk has a few wins in this category. He is very quick. Unfortunately, he isn't able to make all of the races, so his racecraft sometimes might be just a little off, and qualifying is a little off. Look at this, Sharp's no time closed it up again.
Look at that under tray bouncing around. You're talking about that, Greg. That will not affect the cooling. That's okay that it's bouncing around like that. If it even falls off, it won't hurt anything unless it cuts a tire down. But look at all the traffic in front of them with just a couple laps to go.
Yeah, the first one they're going to catch is number 87. They're going to take a run at him, and that's John Annis out of Tampa, Florida, who is a driver who's not that far back in the points. He's 12th in the points. Gives you an idea of the pace that these two are setting. And right there, boy, you can't, if you don't get by him before that series of corners, you're parked. And Annis trying to get around another car. And Willis, oh, tried it, hit.
And they all kind of hit right there. But Willis comes through okay. Sharp's okay. Everybody, no spin there. There is something wrong with the 87. Looks like he's going to turn in again. Don't do it.
The nose of Willis's car, Dorsey, has become seriously dislodged. And he can't believe it. Look at that. He can't believe it, and the nose is gone in that car.
That's okay, though, because it hasn't blocked that radiator inlet, and aerodynamics won't play anything here as long as it doesn't rub on it. I think he's fine. I don't think that's going to bother him a bit.
As long as, yeah, as you said, didn't get into the tire, damage the suspension at all. But now you know that Sharp is just going to be absolutely applying huge pressure. We've got about a lap and a half to go.
Oh, I don't know if there's room. No, there's no room there. It's a good
Sharp,
move,
yeah, he wants a good run here so that he can get a good run. This is now, they just came through what's called turn 11 up on Fountain Street, and they bob and weave down toward the final corner and onto the straight, and I would think it would be a smart move for Keith to give himself, it looks like he did, a little room to get a run right here.
And I think they'll get the white flag. In fact, there it is. There's the white flag. Look at him. Look at him using his hands now. He's going, oh, boy, look at all this lap traffic. This is going to be where the race is made. Won or lost coming in turn 1 with all these guys in front of him.
And look at Willis hunting in the mirror. Very concerned about what's coming up here.
Yellow there.
Yeah, there was.
But there's no car. If we got lap traffic, they're going to catch this tight section. You're going to have to be brave now. Somebody's going to have to make a move. Oof.
That's going to be interesting. There they've caught Toombs now. Willis coming up behind him. He's not close enough here. And Sharp is just going to let it all hang out, given any opportunity here.
Look at Willis. He's up underneath the draft right there, trying to get some kind of racing room. Actually, Sharp's not close enough to count. He's going to have to gain a little bit of ground there to get closer in case something happens.
And now the problem is Toombs has caught traffic as well, and he's going for position, so he may be racing this group. Oh, look at this. Sharp sensing something, maybe.
He's going for the big radius. He's going to go up the inside here, and that's going to work.
Oh, let's see if he can get it.
I don't think there's enough. Next one's left.
Oh, contact! No! Everybody's in.
Oh,
Toombs, Willis, and Sharp.
These guys get in reverse and get going. They're going to win this race. So I don't know. Nobody's passed them yet. Now we're going to get...
Oh, I think Willis has a hurt car.
Those are your two race leaders.
See.
Oh, he's got the right front knocked off. I can see it already. I just saw the time.
Yeah, right behind that worker. He just went straight into the corner.
So look here now. I don't know who the heck's going to win this race.
And Sharp, and look at Tilber. He would be the guy.
He could win this race. And here comes Jack.
Oh, Stillwell.
Stillwell just is going to win this race, I think.
Look at Bump trying to nose through.
Look at here.
Tilber coming back.
They don't know they're going to win the race, I don't think. I think that's for the win right there, though.
Well, I almost wonder because that was a yellow situation.
Well,
and
Bill
Stillwell
has never won a pro race in his career, and he's won from the very first year. I don't know, because it wasn't yellow, but you can't just all stay there either. Something's got to happen. I don't know how to call that.
Well, I wonder if Stillwell didn't just sense, well, geez, I could get really nailed on a penalty here, so let Tilber back through, and here comes Tilber taking the win.
He doesn't know he won. He didn't throw his hands up. Those guys have no clue.
Stillwell is second, Funk is third.
And neither do I.
Yeah. Boy, this is going to be very interesting. I mean, I would think it'll stand because, in theory, Stillwell passed him under yellow. When they were all stopped, he went around and came by, and then I think he let Tilber go back through.
I don't know how to call that because it was, you know, everybody's stuck there. You can't just stop the race. Somebody's got to go on, even though it is a pass. So I think it's a hole.
And how dejected is Jack Willis going to be? And how many times during the race did we say traffic plays and such an instrumental role? Never did I imagine it would be quite that big.
No, that was a big one. Right on the end. I mean, last lap, half a lap to go. They're racing for the thing to get the back markers, and it's all over.
Unbelievable. There is Warren Stillwell, who we think is in second place, and a nice piece of the rules. And here's what happened as we're going to go to break. We'll be right back to check out Victory Circle. But watch this. Toombs going for position. One bump, two, and everybody's in. And the two leaders had damage, and Neil Tilber looks like the winner. We'll be right back. This has to be a very memorable day, Biz.
Well, it's very memorable for him. He's celebrating it with the people who finished all around him. Congratulations on a great win. Now, we thought it was your first pro win, but you won back in '86. But who can remember that one? So congratulations on a great drive.
Yes! 13 years is a long time to wait for another win. John?
But you didn't have the speed to begin with. It was only because of that incident at the end that really put you in the lead. What happened there?
Well, I was solidly in third, which is my usual story. Crashed in qualifying, got the car done just moments before the race, got, you know, greasy hands inside the gloves and all that. I was racing for third. I was happy with it, actually. I had no idea until long after I was stopped here that I won. But I'm thrilled anyway.
Congratulations on a great drive, Mitch.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Speed Vision. All right.
As he said, 13.
And Jeff Meyer.
He's a happy guy, as he said, 13 years, Dorsey, long overdue.
Well,
he is so fast.
I told you he didn't know that he won because he didn't throw his hands up. I mean, they were in total confusion when they crossed the line. He had no idea.
I think he was wondering what Stillwell was doing when he pointed him by as well. A gentlemanly move, whether he had to do it or not. It was a nice sportsman gesture by
It was, and I don't think that he would have been penalized had he won the race. I think it's a canceling situation when there's a blocked track. Whoever gets through the blockage, it's not really a pass per se, but that's the way it went down today.
It's the way it went down, and it was, as always in this Pro Spec Racer Series, an unbelievably entertaining race. And it all started here with the incident going in there. And there is Neil Tilber, as you said. Maybe he didn't know it, but he gets his first pro win. Well, as always, we say thanks so much for joining us here in our coverage of the Pro Spec Racer Series on Speed Vision. For Dorsey Schrader and John Bizignano, I'm Greg Creamer. Thanks so much. We look forward to seeing you next time. And again, congratulations to Neil. The storm about to hit Sebring. No, not Hurricane Irene, but the hordes of Pro Spec Racer drivers descending for the season finale. Multiple champion and all-time wins leader Warren Stillwell has been in the midst of some classic Spec Racer action. But Jack Willis has had the measure of Stillwell this season and leads the points. But it's still close, as are his pursuers. Are you ready for Pro Spec Racer action at its best?
Yes!
Welcome to Sebring International Raceway for the final round of the 1999 Pro Spec Racer Championship. This the track that in the 50s was one that started the revolution for sports car racing in the United States. Today we conclude a championship at this legendary circuit. Hi everybody, I'm Greg Creamer along with Dorsey Schrader. And Dorsey, we have a monumental points battle going into this final round.
Boy, it's awesome. The top 4 guys in the championship all could win the championship today, and they were just nice enough to qualify in the right order. Jack Willis, of course, the point leader on the pole next to Jim Goffrey in second. Neil Tilber is in third. Warren Stillwell fourth. Any of these guys can win here today.
And you know what? Among that mix, we have 2 champions, 2 former champions, and 2 drivers that have never had a championship in this category. Down trackside, let's join our pit reporters. Connie Willis is there, but first let's go to John Bizignano. Biz?
Well, I'll tell you, Jack Willis has gotten to lead this championship by scoring 3 great victories and never finishing lower than 5th in the rest of the events. But, Jack, here you are after all the miles, after all the races, after all the money, and there's 3 other guys who want to take this championship away from you.
Yeah, well, first I got to thank Speedcom, Willis Machine Products, and my crew with East Anglia Motorsports for giving me another good car this weekend. But, you know, luckily I just have to finish 3rd. These other guys have to win. So I got my work cut out for me, but I'm gonna give it a good, consistent run and try to end up with top 3.
Well, best of luck on that, but I'll tell you, he's got one man who knows how to win. Now, just 1 week ago in Mid-Ohio, I interviewed this man as a championship at the Mid-Ohio SCCA National Championships. Warren Stillwell, congratulations again on that. But here you are, 4th on the grid, 4th in the championship. What are you going to do to get by these people who don't want you by?
Well, I know coming in here, I got to make up some ground on these guys. It's a wet track out here. This is what I wanted. I hope to repeat the Mid-Ohio win.
Well, I'll tell you, anyone can do it. It's Warren Stillwell. He knows how to win. Now, this is a real championship sandwich, and with the men in the middle is Connie Willis.
I'm with Jim Goffrey Jr., and Jim, you are 2nd in the points. It's all up in the air for today. You are a former champion, so you know what it's like. What about today? Are we going to take that former off?
Well, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be tough. Jack went awful fast in qualifying. It's kind of neat. We have an all-Speedcom Communications front row, so we're all both happy about that. But basically, I have to beat him. I have to win the race and him finish 4th, and it'll go my way.
Well, good luck to you. He's got that flashy car. Looks really, really nice. But then we got the toy maker here, Neil Tilber, who is not won a race. He's never been a champion with car racing. He's been racing for 12 years. 3rd in the points, Neil. What are we going to feel this championship for today? Are you going to do it, and what's it going to be like?
I'm going to give it my best. I've got some tough competitors ahead of me.
I did win a race this year and won in '86, but never a championship. I'm excited. I'm nervous. The weather's changing. My competitors are good. For the spectators, should be the best race it could be.
Being a toy maker like you are, you're really a kid at heart. Now, if you win this championship, is it going to be like a kid in the candy store?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I have a 2.5-year-old son, Ian, and he's here, and I'm going to hold him high.
Good luck to you, guys.
Well, thanks, Connie and Dorsey. They both alluded to the weather. Now, the track is absolutely awash. There's standing water, but as you see, there's blue sky. How's that going to affect these guys?
We're on the outskirts of Hurricane Irene, and we're getting dumped on. When it rains, it pours here, and there's a lot of standing water. They're going to have to take it easy. This top 4 guys, you can make a mistake with this deep water and be in a bunch of trouble, and they're all thinking championship.
They are indeed all thinking championship, and when we come back, we'll bring you the starting lineup for this final race, again, of the 1999 Pro Spec Racer Championship here at a wet but drying Sebring International Raceway.
But 2 distinctive tracks. When you look at turns 3, 4, 5, all the way to turn 13, it's like a road course. It's all on asphalt. But when you come by 15, 16, 17, that's all the old concrete. So long straightaways here, you have to have a drafting partner. You got to work that. You have to also have a car that handles very well for the infield.
Lots of different lines, too, on that airport circuit section, isn't there? I mean, you could come in wide, but you've got to be a little bit conservative because the exits tend to tighten up.
We'll see it in turn 1 for sure. When these guys go green, we might see 5 cars abreast heading into turn 1. Only 2 can get through.
There is a good look at the field that are going to be taking to the track now, and there's the call as the field begins. Oh, Warren Stillwell, a little delay there. Now he gets it engaged. And the final round for the Pro Spec Racer Championship now officially underway with the pace and parade laps. And at this point, let's bring you our starting lineup. On the front row, number 49, Jack Willis, another pole. What a season he's having, and Jim Goffrey Jr. The second row, Neil Tilber and Warren Stillwell. We met those drivers. Row 3 is David Donovan and John Annis. Row number 4 will be John Black and Carl Harris. Row number 5 will have Darren Fritt and Keith Sharp, who's also had a strong season, the Tech Automotive Primers and Finishers Spec Racer. Row number 6, Derek Schofeld and Chris Funk in the Pearl Street Brewery Spec Racer. Row number 7 is Lee Hill and Robert Sack. Row number 8 is Peter Pope and Joe Willenpart in the East Anglia machine. Row number 9 is Nathan Offit and Dwayne Nyer. Row 10 is Jeff Futrell and Brian Schofield. Row number 11 is Richard Doty and Jack Bowden in the Blue Sky Graphics entry. Row number 12, Steve Raykemper in the Raykemper ID entry. And number 64, Toto Lasali in the Spec Racer from San Salvador, El Salvador. Row number 13 is Dominic DeLuca and Bill Ledzonik. Row number 14, Nikki Ruhlman and Steve Ledzonik. And, of course, Nikki Ruhlman, the daughter of Trans Am driver Bob Ruhlman. And she's got a sister in the field we'll talk about in a minute. Row 15, Bud Servino and Mike Lewis. And if that name sounds familiar, it should. He's a Trans Am racer trying to get a little bit of a test time on the track, if you will. Row 16 is Kaladi Sayola from Helsinki, Finland, and Ken Marino. Row number 17 is Ralph Mayfield and Amy Ruhlman in the Senwell Corp entry, the sister to Nikki Ruhlman. Row number 18 is Tony Picosta and another Trans Am driver looking for track time, Tommy Dreesy. Row number 19 is Bill Robinson and Nick Preble. Row 20 is Randy Carlson and A.J. Lilly. And your final row, John Carroll and Kevin Nielsen will be coming up for the green momentarily. 42 spec racers to take to the 3.7 miles of Sebring International Raceway to wrap up the season and decide a championship. We'll be right back. Bizignano.
Well, I'll tell you, I was out on the grid trying to see who was on a wet setup and who was on a dry setup. It's very, very, very mixed. If I was out there, I'd definitely want to be full wet setup. There's huge puddles all around this track. Even on this, they're even spinning on the warm-up lap. There are huge puddles out there. Now, the thing is, the first four people in this championship are all on wets. Warren Stillwell is on sticker tires. He wants as deep a groove as possible.
That was John Annis, by the way, who looped, and he was a fairly strong qualifier up in the 6th spot, Dorsey. But that's a good point, isn't it? Running a street tire anyway, it would be shaved or molded to a shallow depth. But even if you run a full one, as the race unfolds, you're going to shave it yourself. Shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Well, that's correct. You know, and with the chance of rain as high as it is, I'd go with the full rains if it were me. Because if it does get really, really wet, then those little slots in there really help dissipate the water. Annis, of course, now is going to have to try to catch up from where he spun out. Here he comes right now in the yellow car. These other guys don't know that this has happened. Oh, he snakes his way through there.
Jeez. Boy, he's in a hustle to get there. We just got word from Biz down in the pits that he is on a dry setup and in that very damp section. And that's one of the problems here, isn't it, Dorsey? Where the airport is, there's big concrete patching, and it tends to sink a little in the middle, and you get those little lakes that form.
Well, looking at this corner right here at 15 right there, you see the river of water running across there, and you see these guys going out onto the concrete where there's good grip there. The asphalt, not quite as much grip. And where these deep puddles are, if you're on the slick setup, then where you're really going to get some aquaplaning there. That's why I would think probably with the possibility of rain so high, the guys on the full wets, I think, might have an advantage before this day's over.
Lights are out on the pace car, so we look to be going green. And if you are on full wets, I would suspect you're going to try everything you can to get as big a margin built up as possible, because if it does start to dry, obviously the guys that are running a dry setup are going to become a little bit more effective.
They'll be slower, but look here in the back straightaway. Look at all these little rivers of water that come across. That's disastrous if you hit that. These cars will be doing about 130 miles an hour when they hit those puddles. And if you're on slick, the aquaplane potential is really high.
Well, the field now making its way through the final corner, Sunset Bend, as it's called here at Sebring. Pace car should be making its move into pit lane, and we're going to look for the green flag in the final 13 laps of the 1999 Pro Spec Racer season. And keep an eye again on those top 4. They are all in the hunt for the championship, but other drivers are in this as well. So we're going to be keeping an eye for them. Particularly, you got to watch Keith Scharf back in 10th. He has been very quick this year, a little bit of a problem in qualifying. The field now on the front straight under the control of Jack Willis. The Willis bringing him up nice and slow, almost at a crawl. Watch for it. Watch. See, boy, he has really got him slow. There's the green, and look at that. He had the outside man, Goffrey, in a couple of puddles down this long straight and into turn 1. Very wide entry, snugs up on the exit. This will be interesting. Willis looks strong, and Tilber looks like he may have gotten underneath Goffrey. Goffrey going to run him tough around the outside. Here we go.
That's outside of turn 1. It narrows out right there. You see going asphalt, these guys going through puddles. That makes it slippery for these guys. Here comes the wreck. Guys spinning around in the back there. There's 3 or 4 cars involved.
A couple more. One of the cars, actually some contact back there. It didn't look like it was too severe, but some possible bodywork damage sliding through. Meanwhile, up front, it looks like Goffrey may have got an outside run and may even have something for Jack Willis in the early going as the field snakes through some of the turns, and Goffrey is your leader.
Well, he got a good run going there, got big lead for just on a half of the first lap. There's Goffrey, Willis right there. Look at the car behind that Tilber. It's looking like, I think that's just tape we see flapping there. He's making a run to the inside of Willis right now.
Carl Harris right there in that red car with the yellow number and lettering, and there's Scharf, and he got a pretty good start, but he just got swamped in that corner. And number 87 Annis was able not only apparently to find his qualifying spot, Dorsey, but he's right in the thick of this battle.
Yeah, and you saw Tilber up there up into 2nd place right now. Now remember, Willis said at the beginning, look at the side-by-side stuff in through the water. Holy cow. That's some dicey maneuver. That's Keith Scharf. He's like that. He's really aggressive.
There's Donovan in the green machine going down underneath. Now, big cross up. But he hangs on to it. Scharf could not sneak back.
All this, of course, Goffrey likes to see this in rearview mirror. Tilber with a good run. Remember, Willis, I was about to say, said all he needs is a third. That's where he lies right now. He's playing a conservative at the start. I would, too, if I were him.
Well, no reason to be silly, as you point out. Let things settle and then find out what kind of a car you've got underneath you. And obviously, Goffrey understands exactly what he's got to do. Let's go back and take a look at the spin early on. This is the tails away shot into turn 1. Right there is the guy, first one to go around. That's number 10 who looped it, and Ladizinski, and then everything happens behind him. And there was the clip. You can see some of that fiberglass flying.
Dominic DeLuca was sitting sideways. They're really lucky not to get a huge T-bone. He almost got it right there.
I think that was Toto Lasali who may have clipped that car, but everybody continued. So here we go, and now Tilber has gone around Willis for 2nd. So Willis now on that bubble. He is in the 3rd spot, and if Goffrey wins, remember, Willis has got to be 3rd or better to get the championship. If he's 4th and Goffrey wins, it's Goffrey's title. So right now, Willis, you know, you want to be conservative, but you don't want to be overly conservative.
Well, you got Warren Stillwell right behind you there, so your 3rd place is definitely in jeopardy, and that's Keith Scharf, who's making a big run too. So these guys very aggressive catching up now.
Stillwell looked like you maybe had a good toe off Willis here down the long straight heading toward 1. Here comes Goffrey. Tilber closing, and no, Stillwell not close enough to Willis to be able to make anything happen.
You know, that wreck that happened at the start right here, you see those guys run out there and hit that puddle. But when they hit that puddle, it splashes the water across the track, and it makes it really bad for the people behind them.
At the runoffs 1 week ago, Warren Stillwell won his 6th consecutive national amateur championship in this category, and he did it in some adverse conditions. And as he said on the grid, he was looking for these kind of conditions. However, keep in mind that this track, I think, drying a lot faster than some people may have expected, as you don't see much puddling in sections of this track now at all. There is your leader, Jim Goffrey. He's got to win. He is doing just that right now. That's unfolding on the track right now. That is number 82, Keith Sharp, and the battle behind him for 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Some great racing. And at the front, boy, Stillwell and one of the other drivers in that lead group before dropped a tire off coming through turn 16 doors. They are racing very hard.
You don't want to drop a tire off here under these conditions, because you know what's out there. Nothing but a big old mud puddle, and you get by and you can spin out real easy right there. But more than that, you just really get yourself in trouble. And this place is soaking wet on the outside.
Once again through Sunset Bend, completing another lap of this very long, very fast Sebring International Raceway. And up front, though, Jim Goffrey seems to have things pretty well in control.
Well, he does have things under control, and I was talking to his crew chief. They are on a full wet setup. Now, the first radio report back from Jim says, thank God that we're on the wet setup. There's standing water all over the place. Right now, we have about a 15-mile-an-hour wind down this straightaway. It seems kind of dry here, but what I understand is the backside of the track is very wet.
Backside is very much wet. And by the way, we just had, as you saw, Neil Tilber ran a little wide going into turn 1, and Willis wasted no time, Dorsey, and just knifed underneath.
Yeah, Jack's not taking any problem. You know, he's taking no chances on getting himself in a wreck. But when something's given him, he's ready to pounce on it. There was a little opportunity. He took second place right away.
And Tilber now going to be ruining that because, of course, with Goffrey being second in the points, 1 point behind him is Tilber. So Tilber needs to win, and he needs to have Willis. And Goffrey finished quite a bit behind him, and your point leader just got around Tilber, and that's just going to put the fire in Tilber's eyes, I would think.
Luckily for these guys, they've stayed pretty clean, and the 4 of them are pulling away from the big pack of cars right behind them. They don't want to race with that battle for 5th, because that's about 8 cars back there.
It is an exceptional battle deeper in the pack. There's a good look at number 64. That's Toto Lasali, and he is knifing through now what is called turn 6. Now, this is where there used to be that hairpin, Dorsey, and now it's actually an S series of corners that leads them up toward the Fangio chicane.
Yeah, they put this down into a little S turn, and one of the reasons they did it, when the Indy cars come and test here in the spring, they needed a chicane there, and so they built that chicane for the Indy cars and decided, well, we'll just everybody use it.
That battle right there is a very solid battle. It's Carl Harris in the red machine in front, then 17 John Black and David Donovan having a good scrap. Meanwhile, up at the front, look at Willis. Boy, he has wasted no time. He has run down Goffrey now. The question is, I mean, it's one thing to catch somebody, but it's another thing to pass him, and it's another thing to pass him, Dorsey, when he has got to win the guy you're trying to pass, and all you need is a third, and you're well into that position.
Well, I tell you what, he is feeling pretty racy. Obviously, I say that. Here he comes, pops out for the lead. He knows what his race car feels like now. He's happy with it, and he's going to go for the lead. But it's early in the race. I don't think he'll take any chances. This pass came pretty easy.
Boy, way in the back, a couple of drivers, maybe Keith Sharp dropping a tire, and Willis now takes the point away, and he did it with a nice, beautiful drafting maneuver underneath the bridge at Sunset Turn onto the front straight, and coming onto the front straight, and boy, Jack Willis looking awfully tough, Biz.
Oh, he is looking awful tough, and in the paddock, he was kind of talking a little tough, actually. He says, okay, I know that I only have to come third, but I've won 3 races this year, and if my car and I are capable of winning the last event, I'm going to do it. Hey, I've got to ask you, Dorsey, how tough is it to try and sit back there and change a rhythm to go for 3rd place rather than 1st? I'd rather be going for the lead, guy.
That's a real good point, Biz. I think that's what we're seeing, too, is that Willis decided he didn't like the pressure back there in 3rd place with his car being happy, him being happy. He'd rather control front. So he went ahead and he made the pass. And you look at him right now, the car's real smooth. It's handling real well for him.
Yeah, it certainly didn't look like it took much out of the car for him to move back to the front from third. He was able to make a little bit of a nice move when he got underneath Tilber, but then just nice and methodically ran down Goffrey, took the point away. There's a good look at Neil Tilber, and there's a good look at your reigning 1999 National Amateur Champion, Warren Stillwell. But all things being equal, he just as soon be pro champion too. He's got a lot of work to make that happen. Welcome back as we have 3 of 13 laps complete here at Sebring International Raceway for the Pro Spec Racer Series. That is one of the best battles on the track. Number 87 is John Annis. Remember, he spun on the pace lap, got back in position, and now finds himself embroiled in a battle with Robert Sack, the son of Trans Am racer Don Sack, in the silver. Number 19, right behind him is number 82, Keith Scharf, and right behind them is number 33, Darren Pritt. And these 4 are in absolute unison, Dorsey.
See what these guys are doing right here? They're ducking way off around the end of the curve to miss that little river, that puddle there. See them duck way around there instead of have to go right through. That's a smart bunch of driving right there.
So that also, it probably doesn't hurt. Oh, and Tilber got Goffrey. So Goffrey's woes get worse.
This corner, turn 17, is the hardest corner in racing. It's so long, it's blind through there. A million different ways you can take that corner. It looks like Tilber did it better that time.
Yeah, he got through it very nice. Hit a bump and right down way close to the inside by the apex of that turn, Dorsey. There seems to be a humongous bump, and if you run wide of that, it helps.
There's 3 huge bumps, actually, Greg, as you go through that corner, and you can go through at varying speeds, and it upsets the car. All 3 of them upset it, but you can make speed in different parts of the corner right there. Tilber did a good run off the corner. That's more important because the straightaway here into turn 1 is pretty substantial.
And look at this battle right here now. Oh, there goes Scharf, dives underneath and takes the spot away from John Annis, and right in front of them is Derek Schofield. And so right now Scharf trying to move up, and he has done so. The question is now, can he get around Schofield?
Well, this goes into turn 3-4 is real tight through here. It's a real handling part of the corner right here. And exit speed off this carousel, turn 4, is really important because that's the long back straightaway that runs down to the keyhole, or to the old hairpin, I should say. Now it's the new chicane.
Now you'll notice number 19, that is Sack, who was fallen well back. Robert Sack, watch this, Doris. This is heading into that last turn.
Yeah, he's down to the inside right there. 87's going to squeeze play him, puts him up against the wall just about, and he's in the dirty stuff over there. Car spins, and he's lucky it didn't come back out right in front of the others. But he gets it in gear and keeps going.
That just looked like one of those Rockford turns.
Well, he didn't want it to be that.
Yeah, nonetheless, he continues, but as you said, lost a lot of ground. There now is 87, John Annis. Good look at Annis embroiled in that battle. He got back around Scharf.
And here comes Sack back again. He does that 360, caught a gear, and now he's mad. He wants to catch back up and get some vengeance.
No, and he almost gets the nose taken off the car by, I think that's 0, Chris Funk. Those guys having a very solid run. Meanwhile, there's Schofield, number 62, then Annis, then Scharf. And again, that is the battle right now for 8th position. And look at the battle for 2nd here, as now Stillwell has started to make his move.
Yeah, here comes Warren. He's been sitting back. Now, this is kind of a funny line right there. Oh, the slide there, that's going to hurt him. I think that's going to get Tilber a better shot, and Tilber probably, or not Tilber, I guess that's
Goffrey.
Goffrey that's going to get the run down the straightaway now.
And of course, John Bizignano, we're talking about this great battle for 2nd, and Willis loving that in his mirrors.
Well, he's loving it in his mirrors because he's able to pull away with everyone else chopping each other up. But right now he is on what his crew chief says intermediate tires, which may be coming in for him. And they went to a full dry setup on the suspension. So the springs and the shocks and the wings and everything, aerodynamically, he's set up for the dry and intermediate tires. Boy, that's a winning combination at the moment, guys.
Well, I would think so, the way the track is sitting right now, Dorsey, just having a little bit extra tread depth when you do get to the odd puddle here and there, but having a dry setup, it sounds sound, and it certainly seems to be working very well.
Oh, look at here. Goffrey to the inside, working inside of turn 1. It's a tight corner. He pinches it down. Now watch, see if Tilber doesn't get to run up the inside of him here, headed toward. Oh, and look, all of them cross the. That's what I was talking about. You drop your wheels off, get in that mud, and you could have a real big problem in a hurry.
I think we just saw the definitive use of the term carrying some exit speed.
Of course, in the meantime, while Warren does that, he sprays all that mud right in the face of Goffrey and Tilber, so they can't see now. They got to be wiping their eyes off.
Smearing mud across their visor, yeah. Stillwell's. I don't know whether that was intentional, but it was effective nonetheless. So it's Stillwell 2nd, then Goffrey, then Tilber. But look at Goffrey, got a great run now on Stillwell, or so it seemed, through turn 4.
Look at Stillwell moving his head around there, trying to figure out if these guys are going to work with him, if they're going to work against him. Obviously, right now, Stillwell is not going to stay in line. He wants to try to get back up in the front.
Through that new section, the new S's that make up turn 7, and now they go through what's called the Fangio chicane here, in a big puddle right there, but it does seem to be offline and easy enough for everybody to avoid.
This is a real fun part of the track back here. It's kind of technical when you turn in here where Warren just turned in. There's a lot of pavement changes right there. You see it's all concrete. Now he goes back on the asphalt, goes through the grass, goes out to the outside end for the wall. Big moment there for Warren. That could have been a big accident.
A lot of famous names on this part of the track. That was Cunningham Corner they went through, then Collier Curve, and now they come up to the very famous tower turn that where the old airport tower was, that launches them back down onto the old section of track, the old runways, where you can see some construction is going on here at Sebring as Don Panos continues to build this into a even more world-class facility. We'll be back. The 13 laps now complete here at Sebring. You're watching number 69, Carl Harris, and number 17, John Black. The two of them have been scrapping for a number of laps here. Ooh. Harris having a good run.
69 on the outside of turn 1 in the grass out there. I tell you what, he had a big moment because that was a miracle. He didn't get the thing all the way out into the guardrail.
And that, of course, allowed Black to close it up just a little bit here, and he's going to be happy with that. Again, a very solid battle, which is now for 5th because Donovan has gone a-missing here. Now watch this, Doris.
Turn 1, high speed. There's a high-speed four-wheel drift into the grass. Great save right here. Man, that was lucky. That's soaking wet over there.
Well, it looks like he did what you're taught to do in all of the driver schools, is when you do go off, don't do anything sudden. Just let the car have its head and try and hang on.
I think he prayed.
Oh, that too. Well, I
think that's what saved him there.
That's another part of the instruction you don't hear a lot about. But
I was one of those instructors when you teach Sarah's hold on and pray a lot.
Well, he did a nice job nonetheless, and Carl Harris hangs on over John Black. But when you're pursuing somebody, Dorsey, and they have a major off like that, obviously I would think that's a bit inspiring because you know they're feeling the heat.
Yeah, that was a big moment. It really was, because that's very, very fast right there. And it was just really amazing that he caught that. The 82 car there you're looking at is Keith Sharp. Has not run as good here as he would have liked to have. Normally he's in the front of the thing, but always one thing you rely on Keith Sharp, aggression, and he's giving the work right now.
Oh, absolutely. 2 races ago, Sharp had a big win at Homestead, and so you know he's quick. He's just been struggling a bit here in qualifying, and he's been embroiled in that battle with number 62 Schofield and 87 John Annis, the first 3 cars heading just now out of the picture, and right there is a quickly recovering Robert Sack. He's doing a very nice job, and of course we talked about his rather well-known father, and he's with Connie.
Yeah, I'm with Don Sack, Trans Am's Don Sack right now. He's watching his son Robert, who just turned 21 recently, go from 14th place all the way up to 10th, and what's that like to watch your son doing that?
It's a lot more nervous watching Bob race than when I race.
He's moved up to 10th. Is that anything that he's learned from you to move around like that?
Going to the front, I don't know if he learned it from me, but that's what he always likes to do. He's a pretty good race car driver.
I tell you what, guys, it's actually pretty fun to watch him as a father. He's not doing much of the talking and telling you about it, but to watch him on the sidelines just cheering on his kid is really a fun thing to do.
Oh, it is, and of course, Don Sack tomorrow, Dorsey. You've raced against Don for many years, and he's going to have a pretty substantial milestone he's going to make tomorrow.
Don Sack will drive his 100th Trans Am race tomorrow, and he'll get a special award for that. There's only a few guys that have run that many races, and he's one of them. Look at this, Warren Stillwell in second, Goffrey pursuing.
And you just saw the car of Willis draw out of the picture. He's got an almost 4-second lead over these two, and Stillwell, they seem to be running distinctly different lines in section of this track.
Part of that could be car setup too. If they're, I don't know if these guys are on wets or dries, but they could be if they're on full wets, they might be looking for water. Actually, drive. I've seen Warren putting wheels in big puddles and stuff, so I assume he's doing that intentionally to keep his tires cool.
He'd said in the open that he really was hoping for a wet race. So you're right, they may have geared the car a little bit more toward that kind of a setup. And now that it is not raining and drying, he could be a little bit of trouble.
Well, you start looking to cool the tires down the outsides, and you can do it just like he's been doing, finding little water puddles, run them through there, take the temperature out of them. But these are street car tires, and they're really not in any kind of a trouble. It's not if you were on a rain tire that's a racing built rain tire that will overheat and chunk. These shouldn't have a problem.
Continuing to watch Goffrey pursue Stillwell. And let's go back and take a look at a couple of these different lines.
Of course, this is the S's there. You see Warren really compromising, trying to get the run through the left-hander. And on the outside, I don't know if Goffrey was in there a little bit too hot, but he took a huge rim shot on the outside there. I don't think it's what he wanted, because it certainly didn't net him a good result coming off.
Well, Biz, we're seeing a couple of different lines being used. We're speculating as to why. Can you help us?
Well, you're talking about Warren Stillwell. Now, just a week ago when he won that championship, it was pretty wet out on the track, and he went out with very, very slick tires, and he thought it was a mistake. He actually spun coming out of the last corner and was dropped back to fourth, but drove his way back to a fine victory. Here he was on fresh sticker tires. The tires had really never turned, or maybe 2 or 3 laps. You can still see the paper on the tires. So he has the deepest treads out there, guys.
Deepest treads out there, and on sticker tires, Dorsey, if there's not a heat cycle on those tires, they can be effective quick, but sometimes they can go off a little bit, can't they?
I think it's cool enough and wet enough it won't be a problem for him. And last week when he won the championship, he did it by finding a rain line, or a line that had a lot of traction. Well, here at Sebring, I got a lot of time, and I can tell him you won't find a rain line around here. The only thing you can do is dodge big puddles, and he's done the best of that.
And John Annis finally found a way around Schofield. But look at Schofield. He's going to dive right back down to the inside. Looks like Annis may have turned in a little too soon, and the car pushed wide, and Schofield was ready for it.
That's exactly what I was talking about, turn 17. All the different angles you can take through that corner. You can be fast in the middle. You can be fast on the entry and on the exit. You can't get it all put together in one, so you get out exactly what you saw there. You get a big compression of cars. Right now, look at the inside of turn 1, though.
Annis takes another look, but Schofield had a good, as you put it, a rim shot. And he's going to hang on. And as a matter of fact, well, for a second, it looked like Sharp was thinking about going underneath Annis, but couldn't quite do it. And oh, that was close.
Yeah, he locked up Warren. Sharp locked up and almost crashed into the back right there. He was lucky he didn't have a wreck.
So Schofield, with that little bit of a moment, with Sharp chasing Annis very hard, Schofield gets as much of a breather as he's had. But that's allowed Chris Funk, who is a former winner in this series, to close up. And look who's right behind him is Bobby Sack.
These guys race against each other a lot. Funk and Keith, they're racing in the same division a lot, so they know how each other drive.
So we're watching that battle, but all hasn't been going quite so smoothly here. Number 15, Bob Serino, had a bit of a problem here, Doris.
Yeah, this is a real slippery part of the racetrack, and he's in there with too much speed, too wide, out, spins across the top of the curb. And really kind of lucky that he didn't take the red car with him. There was no contact there, and that was a lucky shot. That is really a slippery part. Right here is the same part of the racetrack.
Yeah, but Severino getting lucky in that moment, and now right through the same sequence. Look, that's what he dropped on the track, too.
Yeah, I was worried about that. They just went through that mud, and you saw right there that the car really wiggled pretty badly. You have to really watch that when the conditions are like this. If a guy goes off the track and comes back across with water and mud, one time before the track's dry, the next time you get there, boom, you're in the wall.
And look who's looking awfully quick right now. The white sort of generic number 0 of Chris Funk. He has reeled in Sharp. And look at this. Annis very close to Schofield as we're now heading on to the long back section in the airport runways here. The battling continues.
Usually that's just
he ran wide there.
Yeah, I knew he was going to be under pressure because he had no exit speed out of 1 by turning that early. These other guys got a good run into 3. He is now in 3rd place, or 3rd in that group, I should say.
Wow, he went to the front of that group and just that quickly backpedaled, and here comes Chris Funk. He got a great run because of that bobble by Sharp, and Funk on the outside. This will be interesting, and got him.
Yeah, that's surprised that he did get him there, too, because that's the wrong side of the racetrack to be on going into this next corner. It's too tight in these next 2 corners to pass anybody. You see how tight it is through this new chicane.
Just very serpentine through this section of track now up into the Juan Fangio chicane. And Annis has tried everything he can to put a pass on Schofield. And Dorsey, he's made a couple, but none of them have stuck. He's going to try it again.
This one will. This one will. He's got a good run going, and he's got it in a good part of the racetrack to do that pass on. Now, watch this. It's going to be side by side. There's the mud that we talked about. They are all clean through that. Pretty good pass right there. In this part of the racetrack, he should be able to defend himself.
Yeah, he finally made the pass in a section, as you said, where he can actually mount some sort of defense. It's not so wide. Willis heading down through turns 15 and now 16 onto the long Ullman straight. There is the margin over Stillwell. About 5 seconds now Willis has in hand, and Stillwell has finally distanced himself from Goffrey, who equally has the same amount of a margin. Look at Goffrey hunting for water.
Yeah, he's all the way up the side. That's exactly what he's doing. He's over there trying to cool the tires down. First, second, third right there. That's Stillwell in second, Garfrey in third. Back there in fourth is Tilbor. And behind him, look at this battle coming. This is a battle we were watching for fifth before. And there's 5 or 6 cars in there that are catching this group right here.
Yeah, the bright red machine there is Carl Harris, and with him is the blue entry of John Black, and they are closing on Tilbor. Then a little bit more of a gap back, and here is Ennis and Schofield. Very close, heading down in the last turn. Schofield thinking about it, but Ennis has been had there a couple of times already. He's defending nicely.
These guys working a real good, clean 5-car draft. They're going to catch up with the guys in front if they just stay like they've been doing. Now, as I say that, everybody cuts it up. Here we are down in turn 1 again. We're going to have 2 rows going into turn 1.
And all this dicing has allowed Bobby Sack, who was quite a bit behind. That's how quick momentum can swing here. Oh,
He's
3, 4, 5 abreast, folks.
And you got to know everybody's there. Everybody's got to work together.
Ooh.
And that was a great
That was
move.
awesome.
But it's not over, because when they get to turn 3, they're going to do it again just for the effect.
All right, there's 2. Now up to 3. Schofield, just that quick, went from the lead of this group to third in that group. Ennis very loose through this section of track, Dorsey.
All this stuff looks fine and dandy, but it also looks like a wreck just about to happen every time they do that. I mean, when you get 5 cars going like that, it's all right to do that if you know all the guys around you and you make sure that they know that you know that they know. If you know what I mean.
I believe we know.
So, and they better know, because they're going to do it again right down here. Here's the brake zone for the new chicane part.
Hard on the binders. Boy, a lot of twitching going on. They are on the edge.
Boy, I tell you, Robert Sack did a great job there. Went all the way to the inside of all those cars and made it stick. Now he's in the second part of that group. They need to tidy it up, though, because they really do have a chance of catching back up with the guys in front of them if they can stay clean.
Well, the best thing now is for, as you said, the yellow machine of Ennis and the number 19 say of Sack to just focus on not racing each other and just racing the track, work together. But, of course, the problem is that with all of the wide entries into some of the corners in the backside of this track, you could be working very well and somebody decides to take a dive on you, and that's it. It can force you offline and really mess things up.
You see what's happening here a lot of times is that they're positioning themselves. You'll see somebody move off, like when Keith Sharp moves to the inside. Car behind him has to go with him. You're trying to work this draft together, but overall, look at the effect it had. It really hurt them as far as catching that group in front of them.
So right now, John Ennis runs 7th, and the rest of that patch of rage, that's Neil Tilber, who is in 4th spot, but John Black has finally figured a way around Carl Harris, and the 2 of them quickly closing on Tilber in what's a great battle for 4th. We have 2 laps to go. And here we go. Carl Harris wants back by. Ducks underneath John Black. Couldn't get around Tilber into turn 1. And looks like he made it work.
That shallow entry seems to be working pretty well for these guys. That's not a good place to make a move right there. I thought he was going to try to go up the inside. That thing seems to be working pretty good. They get to turn in inside early, and everybody giving each other enough room to make it work.
Whoa, Tilber, the back end steps out big as he heads through that turn. That's turn number 4, now into 5 and 6. And we'll see whether Harris, as a result, gets a bit of a run on him. I think Harris had to get out of it, not to get into Tilber.
Yeah, he probably had to back off just a little bit, and of course that evens it all up again. Here they go down the brake zone.
There comes John Black.
Yeah, Black's going to have a run. Nope, he thinks better, tucks back in.
Into the new S's here. And they're right middle of that corner. Somebody went off and hauled a lot of junk onto the track. Fortunately, they're mostly straight through there anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, you see all that mud there, and you're lucky that they are straight through there, because that would be quite slippery stuff. And these guys, you see them now doing a real good job of missing the big puddles. They're intentionally trying to get away from all that.
That's
2 laps to go. This is going to get
right
good.
There.
Yeah, this is going to be big.
Well, 1, 2, and he stays wide and lets John Black slide through. It's a nice piece of racing. Paying attention to what's going on around you in the corner workers, and those 3 continue on through in that battle for 4th. Again, lots of different lines used there, isn't there?
Yeah, everybody moving around quite a bit. And I'll tell you what, right behind them, and not too far behind, is that ferocious battle coming on. And these guys just don't want that to catch up with them.
And Connie Willis, Neil Tilber finds himself under immense pressure.
Yeah, Neil is in 4th right now, but talking to his crew chief, it looks like he just might be there for now and not for long, because they've got rain tires on and they are slowly falling apart. And so it doesn't look like he's going to have that championship that he was wanting today.
Well, again, yeah, the track's staying very, very dry at this stage, and that's going to hurt Tilber if he started on full range, Dorsey. Those tires, even as a street tire, they're still not going to be as effective as an intermediate or even a shave tire. Here's the proof, maybe.
Oh, they're bumping.
Whoa!
Harris on the inside. Tilber didn't give him any room, ran him right to the wall. They bumped. They went through the puddle. Lucky they didn't have a bigger wreck than that. And this is exactly what the group behind him wants to see, because that group behind him has caught up a lot in this lap. Look, oh, almost a big spin crash, but he catches it. It's not over yet. That's that turn 17. Ooh, big moment.
That was like about a 13 apex corner for Harris, and here comes Black.
Yeah, nothing you can do about that. He was all out of control back there. 1 lap to go right there. You see the white flag wave. These guys really going after it.
This is a great battle, and Tilber, now Black, but I think Harris has a good head of steam here. If he can cut underneath, he may have something for Black up into turn number 3. He was thinking about it.
Yeah, he was thinking about it, and get up here into 3. If you can't get it done by then, though, you got to just go ahead.
Watch this right there.
Turn 17, all out of control. There's a concrete wall. We're sitting right at it. If you hit that, that's all over. He's still loose, though, because he's way out too wide. Look at the car. Big slide all the way out onto the drag strip. That might have saved him right there.
Carl Kinzer Harris.
Good point.
Oh, man, that was sprint car racing at its finest here.
Yeah, giving the front tire something to do that time.
Exactly. Tilber, Black, and Harris continue that battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. And up front, Jack Willis working through some lap traffic. And Dorsey, he is just a few corners away from his first championship.
Yeah, if you're going to win a championship, man, do it like this, man. He said, if I can win, you heard Biz say, he said, if I got enough car, I'm going to win. And, boy, he's not only winning, he's trouncing.
He's dominating. His margin almost 6 seconds at the conclusion of lap 12. Final lap now through the tower turn and on to the turns 15 and 16 through the airport runways. It's one last time.
This is the kind of run. Yeah, it's the kind of run you want. You know, nobody around you, not a mark on the car. He's clear of all the bad stuff that's going on behind him. And I guarantee you when we get back there, there's going to be some bad stuff going on for that 3rd and 4th place battle, 4th and 5th.
Last time he makes the turn onto Ullman Straight. And take a look at the margins here. There's Stillwell, just pops in. Not only a lot of time, Dorsey, but 3 lap cars. There's Goffrey in the yellow and orange machine.
And none of those guys close enough to do anything with one another at all. You know, that's just pretty much set. Those 2 lap cars in the way could play into it, but I doubt it.
So Jack Willis, he has got to be trying to keep the emotions reined in here through this final couple of corners onto that front straight, because he has done everything he needed to do, then some, to win a championship. Here he comes down the front straight. Look at that. Spraying his crew, giving him a bit of a bath.
That's what they wanted, all right. All happy guys there. They're 2nd and 3rd place. Of course, there's Warren Stillwell coming 2nd. Great year for him. And Goffrey comes through 3rd. Look here comes Tilber.
There it is.
Battle for 4th, and it's going to be 3 wide.
Tilber.
Not over yet.
Look at this. 3 abreast on the line. Tilber, Harris, and Black.
Tilber squeaked that one out. Look behind here. Here comes the next group. They're still fighting.
Yeah, there's Ennis, then Bobby Sack, then Scharf. And Schofield, he faded badly at the end, just dropped well back.
I think it was Tilber by an axle. Half an axle.
Very, very awesome racing for 4th, and just an awesome season for Jack Willis. He has put together a lot of wins. He has been fast. He's been a factor in every race. And look at the guy coming up on his shoulder. The guy with the most wins in pro spec racer racing comes up, and more championships than anybody else. Warren Stillwell comes up to salute the new champion. Warren, one classy champion, and I think Jack Willis fills that description nicely as well. And they'll continue a very emotional cool-down lap. We'll come back in just a minute and visit with our new champion, some of the pursuers in the battle. You talked about it. If you're going to win a championship, it's always sweeter to do it with a win. And his margin of victory now, Biz, lucky 13.
Lucky 13 points for lucky Jack Willis. Jack, you told me, hey, all I have to do is come 3rd, but you weren't going to be satisfied with that. What a great win. What a great championship.
Well, you know, had to go out in style. Had to take 1st. The boys with East Anglia, they're the ones that need this. They're the ones that deserve it. So all I did was drive. We made the right call on the dry tires. All the other front runners went wet, and just took a couple laps for the track to dry, and it came to me.
Looking back over the season, I mean, you have 4 great victories, but it was consistency that also brought you the points that made you champion.
Yeah, you know, that was the whole idea from the Mosport race. Finished 2nd there. Should have won that, but let Jim get around me there. But, you know, that's what we needed to do all season, was finish top 3, and I couldn't ask for a better finish today.
Boy, I'll tell you, congratulations on a great championship. And Warren Stillwell, a week ago you were on the podium as the champion. Here you've had a great drive into second place, but third in the championship. Looking back over it, what would you have done differently?
Well, I had a couple races that really hurt me. I crashed out of Pikes Peak and had a penalty on me at Homestead. But I needed to finish good up here, and I ran pretty hard. Jack was, had a really good car. I was running hard. Unfortunately, he had to finish pretty far back for me to beat him. So I congratulate Jack Willis, and thanks to BF Goodrich and these great tires, we can drive as hard as we want on them all day.
I'll tell you, he's going to be doing the same thing next year. Down to Connie Willis.
I'm with Jim Goffrey, who you came in second in the championship. I know you were shooting for the first, but you were out in front there for a while. You still did great.
Yeah, after that first lap, I thought I was looking pretty good, but the track kept getting drier and drier, and here they came. So there wasn't really much I could do to hang on with these tires in the car.
You still feel good about second, right?
I feel good about second. Everybody had a little bit of bad luck this year, and it really, tossed it up and came down to this last race. But congratulations to Jack. Those guys did a great job all season.
Thanks a lot. Take care. Okay, now we're going to go talk to, Neil Tilber is there he is. Let's chase him over this way. He's right over here. Neil, you were shooting up for the championship. I know, but then you don't like the rain. You put some rain tires on at the end, but you came in fourth, and you were battling there at the end.
Well, thanks, Connie. Yeah, it was a good race. It was wet and dry on the start, as you know. I chose the wet tires, and they maybe were a little too hot at the end. But also, Jack Willis richly deserves this championship. And Warren and, of course, Jim Goffrey are great competitors. I'm pleased to be in the same TV interview.
Thanks to say that. Always good to talk to other people like that, and it was fun to watch him. Guys?
Neil Tilber is just a lot of fun, loves his racing. And Dorsey, as we take a look at the final provisional results here for the race, it has been a great season, and really you couldn't have had a much better way to end it. What a great win for Jack and some great battling.
And you can tell these guys have a lot of admiration for one another, all are really happy for Jack Willis. You got to drive like you respect the guy next to you when you drive as hard and close as these guys do. Fantastic season for all these guys.
Remarkable season indeed. Let's take a look at our points. The top four, that's what the story was coming in. Willis wins it by 13 over Jim Goffrey, who was a point clear of Stillwell, who was 2 points clear of Neil Tilber. A points battle at the end of a full season of racing rarely comes down to anything that close, but that's how the season unfolded, and that's the nature of Pro Spec Racer racing. It's been an honor for us at Speed Vision to be able to bring you the coverage of the Pro Spec Racer Series this season. Thanks so much for joining us all year. For Dorsey Schrader, for John Bizignano, for Connie Willis, I'm Greg Kramer. It has been a treat. We look forward to seeing you next year. Take care, everybody.